is up, everybody? It's Joe from JLW Games coming at you with another cool Planet Coaster 2 video, and today we're going to be working more on our mythology dark ride that we had started with beforehand. We've had 2 episodes already, and this is episode 3, so if you haven't seen the other episodes, be sure to check those out. Way you don't get spoiled of what's ahead. So in this episode, we're going to pretty much be finishing up the ride experience for the most part, and then also, I mean, I could probably still add some audio things here and there, probably, and maybe a few other effects, but for the most part, the ride itself is pretty much done, at least inside the box, and I haven't done anything with the exterior building yet, so you'll see at the end that the building is still pretty empty and bare and pretty boring. We're gonna do like a nice entrance facade, along with a little queue line for the ride that will be pretty well themed. Nothing too crazy though, as I wanted to focus more on the ride itself. The box outside will most likely stay pretty bare and everything. I might do some like air ducts on top for extra realism and stuff, but that's about it and everything. So at the end of this video, we do have a POV of what we have so far. So pretty exciting stuff. I was really excited to get to this scene over here with the seesaw effect. You probably saw it at the beginning of the video, where you kind of see how the final results of that turned out. I had kind of this cool idea using the animated pieces that we now have. Like, we have the animated pieces that we can attach scenery to now, and we can really animate static pieces or any other animatronic pieces and actually trigger those as well. So I wanted to kind of test this out myself. So I did put the Medusa statue up here and actually was able to animate it going up and down, so it kind of goes up and down with the seesaw. You can't control the speeds too much. There's some animation types, but you can't really control the exact speed, so I couldn't get it exactly correct, but I did about as best as I could, and it still turned out pretty cool. We also do a little bit of some lighting effects using the sequencer and everything, and I just noticed this in this episode, is that we actually have like a strobe effect that we can now use on the lights now. Instead of having to turn them on and off manually, there's actually an option where you can actually have them turn on and off, and you just change the interval and go from there. It's actually pretty neat that we can adjust that now. I'm actually pretty happy with that, and that way you don't have to crowd your sequencer with tons of the lights and everything, because that was kind of an annoyance in Planet Coaster 1. So nice little feature that they added in that they never really talked about. That was really, really cool. So it takes a lot of trial and error though to get these right, because you have to time everything out, and I try to add a little bit of audio effects too with the laughter, everything. And at the end we actually add some onboard ride audio with some music. I might change it later, but I'm not sure. There's limited options, so at least until we get custom audio, which is coming in a later update. And we're also getting better slide physics, which they actually just announced today too, so I'm really excited for that as well. But today again we're going to be talking about the dark rides. I'll get more into it later on, but I had a little bit of an issue with the dark interiors. I'm not entirely sure if I did something incorrect, but you'll see that we have some light bleeding through the building when I do finally enclose the large section of the building. I did try to do double walls, double roofs, and all the above. Maybe there's something going through the bottom, but it just depends on where I was looking. If you looked in certain spots, some light would bleed through, which was kind of interesting. It looked like it was having a trouble trying to figure out if it should be dark or light. So in the end, for the POV, I did end up making it nighttime to see what the full effects of what it was supposed to be, because some of these sections need to be pitch dark in order for them to work, because I do have a few sections in the ride where there's no theming. It's just supposed to be pitch dark until you get to the next scene, and that was one of those right there in between the seesaw track and this little scene here that leads you into the switch track. And then I have another Medusa figure that we put in here for kind of the finale of the ride, which was also pretty cool. We did kind of the similar effect as you fly by, so we'll get into that. So I wanted to do a little bit of a hallway with a ruin scene going into the switch track here, which was pretty cool. But my idea with this dark ride was to create all the scenes and then enclose the outside building into it. So there's some scenes that don't really need a roof on it, and some dark rides actually do this. And since it's going to be pitch dark, I was trying to leave some of it open. And also, since the last episode we did run into some clearance issues anyways, I thought it would be kind of a good idea to stay away from even putting on roofs. But however, for the switch track, we do put a roof on it because I wanted to get that full effect for this spot as the transfer or the switch track switches over. And the idea is that you can barely see the track moving over. We even add some ambient effects on that as well. And then the last section of the ride will be a pitch black section until you hit the final brake run. So yeah, it's but it only works again if it is pitch dark, and I'm still trying to figure out what I did wrong. Maybe I need to double up on the floor as well. I might try that next. That's the only one I didn't try. So maybe in the next episode, we'll try and do that as well to see if that was the case. You might have to do double walls and double floors, double ceilings, which can be annoying, but I will test it out in the end to kind of figure that out for you guys with the dark rides. Besides that, it's been such a joy and a lot of fun to create a dark ride like this. And even though I'm kind of saving my skills for my big projects, this was still a fun little project to put together. And everything. So next episode we are going to focus on like the queue line and just decorating the front facade. Now unfortunately, for those that wanted this blueprint, it is going to be in the only way I can upload it to the workshop will be to make it a park, because it does exceed the 4,000 piece limit, unfortunately, for the blueprint. So for those wanting to add this to your parks, unfortunately it's not going to be a possibility as of right now. So unless they at some point up the blueprint piece cap, but not entirely sure if they'll do that or not. I'm sure there's a good reason that they have those. I remember back in the days when it was only 2,000 and now it's 4,000. I think in Planet Coaster 1 it was 4,000 in the end as well. So anyways, we had to go through and line everything up with the sequencers. Sometimes that can be a little bit difficult just trying to time it up, because it doesn't always go off on the trigger the way you want it to, and especially if you're doing like these switch tracks stuff, you kind of have to time it up a little bit. You can't just do it right where the track was. I mean, the second part I probably could have, but I decided to kind of keep it. But as we get further along into this video, you can see me trying to start to build the walls up, because we're gonna have to eventually close this up. Again, you'll see later on that we do have some issues with the light bleeding through, and hopefully we can get that figured out sooner rather than later. Not entirely sure what's going on with that, but it could be a possibility we might have to do double walls, double floors, and double ceilings. Maybe it feels like it could be coming through the bottom, but I'm not entirely sure. It's kind of a weird thing. There must be something that I'm missing potentially, but it should be super dark inside, but for some reason it's not. On some sections it is, typically in the sections where I completely enclosed it inside that building as well. So I'm not entirely sure what was causing that. And we do things like this to try and actually have to test it, and that's why I do these kind of projects, to kind of test it out. That way when I do my real big projects, I know for future reference on how to get these things kind of solved and fixed. I might do some further testing because my first big park is going to have some quite a few dark rides in them. So that's something that we definitely need to figure out before we get to that. So, um, yeah, so this is the part where I was definitely like, let's add some music to the trains. That way, there is something going on with the train as it goes. That way, it's playing some music as well as off-ride audio that plays as the trains go by and are triggered. There's not too much of that, but we might add a few more pieces of that in later episodes. But yeah, I really like that the seesaw, the teeter totter kind of seesaw track piece. That's really cool. Not sure if there's actually any coasters or rides that actually use that. Let me know if you know anything like that. I know we have some tilt tracks and stuff, but none that like kind of teeter up and down. It is kind of a cool thing and track piece though, so I might actually use it quite a bit. So very nice. But yeah, I wanted to kind of decorate the exit. The exit's not going to have too much decoration or theming, so I didn't want to spend hours upon hours, because I definitely could spend hours and hours, but I'm going to spend hours and hours on the my big project. So this is more of a first time dark ride project that I can kind of learn from and figure out what I'm going to do later on. So that being said, to build a little bit of a queue line, nothing too crazy. I didn't want it to be super long. We're gonna theme it up slightly, but nothing again too extensive. The main part of this ride is going to be, of course, the ride itself. I just love these freeform wall pieces that we have. By the way, they're actually really nice. But anyways, yeah. And once you'll see once I start to get this enclosed, I do try and figure out what I did wrong when it came to getting all that, because we did get the roof on here. And in theory, this should make it black out on the inside, but once we get on the inside, you can kind of see that there is some light bleeding through depending on where you're looking, and it all depended on where you're looking. If you're in certain spots, it wouldn't bleed through, but there's some cases it was, so I decided to go ahead and go through and throw in some double walls to see if that would fix this from happening. And it did not look like it at first, so then I decided to put an extra layer on top of the roof as well. I still, again, haven't tried the floor, double layering the floor. Maybe that will help as well. That's definitely something we can kind of look into and try and figure out as well. I was thinking maybe if I sunk it down, maybe that would help as well, but unfortunately I didn't really have that option to begin with. So. But there's, yeah, still light bleeding through. I don't think it improved anything. And then I had a little hiccup trying to select all the roof and decided a different method would probably be faster anyways. So it happens. But it's a big ugly box right now. So that's why in the next episode we're going to decorate the front up. And if you know most dark rides, the ugly box is the part that's not in view of the guests, and the only part that you can see usually as the guest is the facade on the inside. So anyways, that's about it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. See you guys next time.